Hello, friends, and welcome to my channel. This is a podcast where I share my insights, and my name is Ryan Abair. And today, my meditation is don't speak unless there is something to say. And we're going to talk about the difference between talking and speaking, and hearing and listening. So, stick around, and I hope that you will want to listen to what I have to say. So today I'm talking about the idea of not speaking unless there is something to say. And that takes a little bit of practice, because often there is nothing to say. But we live in a world where say. Because we got to cover the silent, awkward pauses. And if you don't know how to become unawkward in the pauses, or to listen to the silence, you will always want to cover it up in the illusion that the silence is empty. What's in there? What's in the nothing? Well, I'm here to tell you that silence is also meaningful. And if you have something to say, you will translate that silence. You will dive into it and do your best to translate wordlessness. That's having something to say. So, most of us talk. And most of us also talk while we're supposed to be listening. And you've been through this. You've been in a conversation where you appear to be listening, but the mind is bottlenecked with what to say next. So, when you have nothing to say, the listener has vanished. Because the person you are supposed to be listening to, you are talking over. And your mind can't wait to interrupt them. And often, you do. We start talking before the other has finished, but the other is doing that to us as well. They are talking whilst talking. And that's what causes them to stumble over their words. It's what causes them to ramble on and on and on. And they are speaking before they have anything to say. So, you develop a better ear and you listen to what the stillness and the silence wants to say. Or often the silence and the stillness don't want to say anything. The point is the silence. The point is that nothing matters. Now you see, the ego does not hear nothing matters. The ego hears nothing matters as, oh, it's just one big waste. But the spirit will back up. I think nothing matters. And I'll go through that again. Oh, nothing does matter. The background does matter. The silence does matter. And that further investigation into the so-called nothing, silence, emptiness will reveal that it is full. And it is fulfilling to talk about nothing. Although nothing will not be talked about. Yet it communes with us. It urges us to speak when it has something to say. Examples of getting ahead of yourself might be if someone else writes a book. Say one of your friends writes a book, and you want to do that too. Okay, that sounds real cool. I'm going to do that too. And you start writing your book before you have anything to say. That's the same principle. They say don't write a book unless there's a book in you. Don't write a song unless there's a song to be written. Don't start a business unless there's a business to be started. You see? So the silence delivers you by grace, gives you what to say, when to act, when to create, when to express, how to express, etc., etc. So the Godhead, if you will, is speaking and communing in the silence and the stillness. The Spirit is translating that wordlessness, and the ego is doing its best to deliver it in words. So egoic debris will come out of everybody's mouth, no matter how spiritually aware they are. You're going to hear remnants. The ego is going to be grafted onto the words. But if it's spoken from the Spirit of truth, you will hear truth dripping from the words. But there will be some pseudo-truth or falseness to it. An interruption, a cut through the veil of silence. And many of you will understand that words are disruptive. So how we deliver them, you deliver them creatively. If you discover that you have been victimizing yourself, and you tell someone who is currently victimizing themselves, hey, you're victimizing yourself. Those are fighting words to people. If you say we make our own suffering, we make our own poverty, we make our own lack, we make our own struggle, those words, while true, will ring false to the person who is too identified in the noise of the ego. So the question is, how do we speak to the Spirit, which is behind all of that egoic identity? The only answer to that is we speak from the Spirit. From the Spirit that listens whilst the individual speaks. So if you're going to perform a piano piece and you're a concert pianist, the best way to get really good at expressing yourself is to listen to yourself as you perform on the piano. And the best way to be an effective speaker is to first have something to say, and then as you deliver it, you listen to it. And you let it heal you, and you let it nourish you, and you let it admonish you. So my teachings are for me. I am teaching myself. So the student is present now as the teacher is teaching. You see, speaker and listener are one. The shepherd is shepherding as the sheep is following. And this principle applies in whatever you're doing, especially if you're speaking. There's more listening involved in speaking than just speaking. And the more you listen to yourself, the more you observe your actions and your behaviors, not in a suspicious way, but in a loving way, the more refined you can be, the more meaningful life is, the more on purpose you are living, and you're not mistaking urgency for purpose. Walking with a purpose is urgent. Walking on purpose is attentiveness, listening. So, let's not act unless there's an action. Let's not speak unless there is something to be said to one another. Let's not listen from the ego, which is always trying to form the words to say next. Even if somebody is speaking from the ego, give them all of your attention. Devote yourself, even if the ego is talking. And put in some deliberate pauses without it making you feel awkward. I pause a lot in my videos, and a lot of people edit out those pauses. And those are probably the most important components of delivering a meaningful message. So the silence closes in. Truth becomes whole. We say a few words and we snip it. And it comes back together. The spirit penetrates. It becomes meaningful, although you may not know what I'm talking about. But that's the point. Is the silence. Is the truth. Which, once contacted, will express through you in a very, very different way. And one that's open and squishy and soft. And non-defensive in as much as it can be. So, let's not speak. Excuse me, I'm getting over being sick. We won't speak unless there's something to say. We won't listen whilst we are bottlenecked in the head. We will stay devoted to listening to silence and seeing what it wants to say. And it'll come out in a sentence, a word, an expression, a painting, a poem, a project, an apology. You'll know. An action. When it's time. Otherwise, we listen to it. We sit in it. We let the Godhead speak. Always in silence. My name is Ryan Hebert. I hope you enjoyed these insights. Please check out my blog, mymorningmotivator.com.